Hello and welcome to another edition of Political Insider. I'm your host, Herald-Tribune political editor Zac Anderson. With me today is Ken Shelin, a former Sarasota City Commissioner and the co-chair of Florida's largest gay rights group, Equality Florida. Ken, thanks for being here.
Well, I'm happy to be here. Thanks for asking.
Well, it's a pleasure to see you. This is a difficult subject that we're talking about here today, a real tragedy in Orlando. The whole country is reeling from this, but especially the gay community. Tell me what you're hearing from people in the community. They must be very disturbed to be targeted like this.
Well, I think they're angry. I think they're shocked that anybody could get away with this sort of thing. I think they're grieving, but I think they're being galvanized as well. I think the gay community is coming together not only in Florida and Orlando, but nationwide to stand up for themselves.
Sure.
And the straight community is doing the same thing. They're coming to our aid and they're coming to our support.
Sure.
So I think there's going to be something very positive that will come out of this. That's very typically American, isn't it? We tend to make good things out of bad.
You mentioned that Equality of Florida has raised an enormous amount of money to support individuals and some of these institutions in Orlando.
We started a fund on Sunday morning to help victims of the mass shooting, and our original goal was $500,000. We raised that very quickly. By Monday night, we had raised $2.5 million. As of this morning, we've raised $4.7 million, and our goal now is $6 million. But we'll keep, as long as people keep giving us money, we'll keep.
And where does that money go to?
It's going to go to all the victims, but we're going to use local agencies, social service agencies, and police agencies to vet the people that we give the money to. For example, this morning, I read in the Herald-Tribune, for example, that one of the partners of a victim had to buy a casket and had to get help to buy a casket. So that's the sort of thing.
Yeah, that's so sad to think about. They couldn't even afford a funeral for some of these people.
People are so young.
Yeah.
Many of them are under 30 years of age or 40 years of age, and they don't have very much money and may have a minimum wage kind of job.
Sure. So, how can people donate? To just go to the Equality Florida website?
Just go to the Equality Florida website, which is eqfl.org, and there's a link right at the top of that homepage where you can go to GoFundMe to make a contribution.
Hopefully.
And $5 is enough.
Hopefully that'll just continue to grow. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the politics of this. This is a political show, and this issue has gotten political really quickly here. There's all kinds of angles that have come up. We don't have time to go into them. Gun control, gun rights, border security, all these different things. But I wanted to ask about one interesting development. Donald Trump gave a speech right afterwards, and he kind of made a real explicit appeal to the LGBT community, trying to position himself as a champion of the LGBT community, saying that his border security measures, his efforts to block Muslims from coming into the country would prevent homophobic Islamic extremists who might prey on gay people from coming into the country, and that therefore he was a champion of the LGBT community. And the president of the Log Cabin Republicans, which is the main kind of gay GOP group, said Trump's speech was historic because it marked the first time in history a Republican presidential nominee made a direct and explicit appeal to the LGBT community. What are your thoughts on Trump's outreach to LGBT individuals?
Well, you have to look at the history of a politician to know who they really are. And I don't think Donald Trump has a history as an LGBT activist or champion. And frankly, the effort he's making this morning seems opportunistic to me, to take advantage of this tragedy to gain some political advantage.
Doesn't it say something, though, that he made an explicit appeal? You do hear some politicians who aren't even mentioning that this was an attack on a gay nightclub. They say, this is a terrorist attack. They don't mention that, that these were, gay individuals who were being attacked, for who they are. Don't you think Trump deserves some credit for bringing that up?
Well, what's really striking about this event is that not just the LGBT community is coming together to support the people who were hurt, but the community in general, the country in general, the public in general is very supportive. And I think he sees that.
Yeah.
And he's going to take political advantage of that. Of course, there are people who don't support, particularly in the Republican Party, don't support LGBT rights or gun issues, gun control issues. But I think he sees an advantage. And with his approval ratings dropping so low, he's got to do something.
So for you, it's a sign that the LGBT community in general has been embraced to the degree that Trump feels comfortable being out front on it.
Exactly.
That's interesting.
So it's been a very positive development for the LGBT community politically, and he sees that. And he's going to take advantage of it.
So while Trump was getting praise from some groups about embracing the LGBT community, Pam Bondi, the Attorney General of Florida, was really getting grilled by Anderson Cooper, the CNN anchor. He basically said that people were calling her a hypocrite because she was kind of trying to be out front and a champion of the gay community after this attack, when she had been the main person defending the gay marriage ban here in Florida, which was eventually overturned. Do you think that was fair of him to kind of question her so aggressively at this time?
Absolutely, because she fought same-sex marriage from the very beginning all the way to the Supreme Court, and now she's rationalizing her behavior. And she's using semantics to justify what she did. Well, I'm a lawyer, and that's my job.
Yeah, her argument is that this was put in the state constitution. She's the attorney general. She has to do this. And
there were state attorney generals all over the country that said they would not enforce bans on same-sex marriage in their states. She could have done the same.
Is this the right time to bring that up, though? I mean, after a tragedy like this?
Well, when a politician such as Pam Bondi or Donald Trump is making statements about their support for the LGBT community, and when they have not been supportive of the LGBT community, I think it's important for people to call them out.
One thing Anderson Cooper brought up is that if you didn't have gay marriage, a lot of the loved ones, wouldn't necessarily have been able to get information about these people after the attack. You wouldn't be able to go to the hospital and visit them, not get medical information about them if you're not married. You pushed for that type of domestic partner registry even before gay marriage, and this was one of the big issues. Does this sort of confirm why this is so important in your mind?
Absolutely, absolutely. These partners who do not have any legal status like a domestic partnership or a marriage have no input, no role in what happens to their loved ones who were killed or who were injured. They may not even be able to visit them in a hospital when this sort of thing happens. So I think it's really important that we got same-sex marriage so that we can eliminate those problems of access and rights to what married people enjoy.
And you're continuing to push beyond same-sex marriage. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing to continue this gay rights movement.
Well, the important thing is that Florida and the United States have no anti-discrimination laws that protect people with respect to their sexual orientation or their gender identity. So I've been working locally in cities and counties in Southwest Florida to get human rights ordinances in place. We now have such ordinances in Sarasota, the city of Sarasota, the city of Venice, and the city of Northport. We do not have such legislation in Sarasota County, so you're not protected if you live outside those cities. And that's tragic. The Sarasota County Commission has said they do not want to do that. That that's a state responsibility. The state takes the position that it's a federal responsibility.
That's interesting. The bill has gotten some Republican sponsors in the legislature. It got a hearing this year, so it sounds like there's some movement on it. So we'll see where it goes from there.
It's gathering strength.
All right,
and we hope to see progress soon.
Thanks for taking the time to come on the show. I really appreciate it, Ben.
Happy to. Thanks for asking.
Thank you for joining us. Please tune in again next week for another edition of Political Insider.